praise alone doesn't drive excellence, neither does pressure. The magic is in the balance. Welcome to Thrive with Dr. Liz, where we hack the spaces around us to unlock success. Let's dive in. Have you ever worked somewhere where people just expected you to do a great job but never actually acknowledged it? You bust your ass to meet a deadline, pull off something amazing, and instead of a thank you or even a simple nice work, it's just radio silence. Maybe even worse, they immediately move on to the next task, the next problem, the next demand, the next shiny thing. Or flip it. Have you ever been in an environment where everyone loved to celebrate effort, but didn't actually hold anyone accountable for results, where people were constantly praised maybe, but low performers stuck around, standards slipped, and nothing ever seemed to improve? If you've experienced either of those, you know how frustrating it is, because here's the thing. Recognition without accountability leads to mediocrity, and accountability without recognition leads to burnout. The best leaders, the best teams, and the best workplaces don't just focus on one or the other. They balance the two. So today we're going to talk about why so much great work goes unnoticed, while holding people to account actually builds a stronger culture when it's done right, and how to create an environment where both recognition or affirmation and accountability drive real success. Let's start with something called the recognition gap. You may have heard of negativity bias. It's that tendency we all have to notice and remember bad things more than good ones. That's why you can get 10 positive reviews on your work but fixate on the one critical comment. It's also why leaders are way more likely to notice mistakes than they are to acknowledge when things are going right. And that creates a massive recognition gap. People assume that if someone is doing a good job, they know it, that they don't need feedback because they're professionals. They don't need hand-holding. But that's not quite right. High performers need recognition just as much as everyone else. In fact, studies show that top performers often leave organizations not because of money, but because they feel undervalued. These are the people who take pride in their work. They put in the extra effort. They solve problems before anyone else even notices them. But if no one acknowledges it, over time, that motivation fades. And that's when you start losing your best people. If you're in a leadership role, ask yourself, when was the last time that you specifically acknowledged great work? Do you celebrate the small wins and not just the big milestones? Are you recognizing effort and impact and not just outcomes? And if you're not in a leadership role, this still applies to you. If you want a more supportive, motivated space, start giving recognition. Call out the great work of your colleagues, your peers, your team. Don't wait for someone else to do it. Recognition isn't just a leadership responsibility, it's a cultural one. But here's where we run into another problem, accountability. Because if all we do is praise, we don't hold people accountable for not doing great work. That's where things start to fall apart. Ever been on a team where some people were pulling their weight and others weren't, but nothing was done about it? Where no matter how hard you worked, you got the same recognition, the same rewards, the same promotions as someone who did the bare minimum? That's what I call the accountability gap, and it's one of the fastest ways to kill morale. When leaders don't hold people accountable, top performers get frustrated and disengage. Low performers keep coasting because there are no consequences, and the entire team starts losing trust in leadership. And suddenly you've got a culture where mediocrity becomes the norm. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. People rise to the level of expectations that are set, but they also sink to the lowest level that's allowed. So if you're leading a team and you're avoiding tough conversations, if you're letting poor performance slide because it's uncomfortable to address, it's not just affecting that one person, it's affecting everyone. Accountability isn't about punishment, it's about creating an environment where people know exactly what's expected of them and trust that those expectations apply to everyone. And how do you actually strike that balance? How do you create a space where people feel valued and pushed to grow? It comes down to clarity and consistency. First, make expectations crystal clear. A lot of performance issues aren't about ability, they're about lack of clarity. If people don't know exactly what's expected of them, they can't meet that standard. So make it explicit. Define what success looks like. Second, recognize publicly, correct privately. Public recognition reinforces great behavior and encourages others. But when someone needs accountability, handle it privately. No one grows from being humiliated. Third, pair feedback with challenge. If you're only ever praising, people won't grow. If you're only ever criticizing, they'll shut down. The best leaders do both. They say, "You're doing this really well, and I've had an idea how you might be able to push this even further." Fourth, hold everyone to the same standard. When accountability is inconsistent, trust erodes. If people see that underperformers are being tolerated while high performers are being overworked, resentment builds. And finally, normalize feedback as a two-way street. A healthy environment is one where feedback isn't just top-down. It's side-to-side, bottom-up, everyone. If leaders expect accountability, they need to invite it as well. How can I do better? Because when people see that everyone is accountable and everyone is recognized for great work, well, that's when you get a culture where people want to show up, do their best, and keep growing. All right, let's talk about something that you can actually do right now to start balancing recognition and affirmation and accountability in your space, whether you're leading a team, part of a team, or just trying to create better habits for yourself. Let's call it the recognition and challenge check-in. Once a week, take 5 minutes and ask yourself or your team 2 questions. The first one, who has done great work this week that should be acknowledged? Send a quick message, make a public shout out, or just say, "Hey, I noticed what you did. It was awesome." 2, where do we need to raise the standard? What's one thing that could be improved? What expectation isn't being met? How do we course correct before it becomes a bigger problem? Simple, direct, powerful. And when you make both of these a habit, when you create a space where people feel both valued and challenged, that's when you build a culture of true high performance. So take a second to think about your own space. Are people being seen for their hard work, or is it good work going unnoticed? Are high standards being held, or are things slipping because no one wants to have the tough conversations? Are people being supported while also being pushed to grow? Because success isn't just about affirmation, and it isn't just about pressure. It's about the right balance of both. And if you're wondering how to take that even further, well, we've got a lot more to talk about.